Good morning. I'm really happy to be with you this morning. And we are talking about navigating our industry in a post COVID world. So I get right to it because we don't have an awful lot of time, but there's an awful lot of things to say about it. And I'm sure this is a subject that is quite crucial and vital to everybody. So I hope you can stay for this presentation. And of course, it will be also available recorded. TPS is doing a grand job this year of making things simple. And so I really appreciate it. So good morning. My name is Fabrizia Costa, and I am a business coach for photographers. I work with photographers to raise the level of their business and, of course, raise the level of their earnings, which is a particularly crucial point always, but especially this year. And because of COVID, but not just because of COVID has accelerated a lot of things that were going on in the market anyway before COVID, but some crucial things are changing. And, the idea, let's get back to normal, the normal is going to be a different normal. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's going to be way better for some ways. So I kind of want to encourage you to think positively about everything. But at the same time, some things are going to be different. So if we don't know and we don't prepare for it, or if we're not equipped to deal with things, with some certain things, then this may be worse for some people. So this is what we're going to talk about. Mainly, there are two main areas in which changes are going to take place. One is purely sort of technical, in terms of what the market is and how that's changing, what's happened and what's happening in the market, in that, our clients, the people out there, and the way we can communicate and run our businesses. And the other big change has been on an emotional and personal level. So that is also going to create a change in the market, which is less technical and a bit more sensitive, but we need to be aware of that as well. Who am I? Why am I telling you all this? My name is Fabrizia Costa. Did I say that before? I think I did. You also have it written everywhere. So if you're here, you may know me or not know me. But I have been working with photographers now for about 5 years, over 5 years. And I run a workshop called Outside the Box. And I've worked with hundreds of photographers. When I say hundreds, I mean hundreds and hundreds. And when I don't say thousands, it's because I don't just sell a course. Okay, I work with people one-to-one. And so it's been this aspect of my business that has given me the insights to actually look at the industry, because of all of the feedback that I get regularly, daily from my clients, to actually understand a bit more and have a bit of a broader vision about where the industry is going and what we are best to do with it. And talking to the organizers of the photography show, we had a few meetings in the past few months because they asked me to advise on the show, which was an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. And we found that we both have this very, very strong passion and mission to create or help create a shift in our industry, because parts of our industry are in real trouble and parts of our industry are doing really well. And more and more people are pursuing this career. Some people may even this year have lost their jobs and decided to take up photography because it's been their passion for a long time. So obviously it's not impossible to start and run a photography business and really follow your heart. But at the same time, there are some things that are really, really important if you don't want to, I always say, when you put the weight of your livelihood on your passion, it's very easy to kill it. And that's the last thing we ever want to see. So to help everyone, it doesn't really matter whether you're a newbie and just started or thinking of starting, or whether you've been in the industry for a long time. or maybe middle of the road. I've worked with photographers that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years. And because the market keeps changing and there's different things happening, you can't do the same thing you were doing 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and expect it to work. So right now, there is a big shift, and we really want to be fully aware of it. And so here we are. Let's get into it. So this will affect everybody. And I'm sorry, but I have a few notes here. I don't know everything by heart. I didn't want to make a slideshow presentation because it is so impersonal, and I don't really like them. I'd rather look at people in the eye when they talk to me. So this is my preferred choice of communicating with you. So, like I said, this will affect everyone. And COVID has been a great leveler. All of a sudden, nobody was working. It doesn't matter if you are an old photographer, older in the business, and have loads and loads of clients. All of a sudden, no weddings. You can't go out. You can't shoot people. You can't do anything. So everybody's stuck and everybody's sitting there. But even before COVID, things were changing in our market anyway. And I've been talking about this for quite some time. What happens is, of course, there's been more and more people have got into photography, and they have, come in by cutting prices maybe, and working without proper business knowledge. And so this is for people who want to work with clients who really get your value and don't just look for cheap prices, because that is, the bane of our industry. So we do want to, we want people who understand, how the value of what we do and who are willing to pay us well for it. And, and how do we do it? In 2021, things are picking up again. And there's going to be two different kinds of clients. There's going to be people who have lost money, so their budget's gone lower. And there's also people who haven't lost money. In fact, there's been a Bloomberg. I just got a graph. You can check it out about people saving during COVID, during 2020. And in the UK and the US and pretty much everywhere, because I think it looked at Germany and a couple of other countries, savings have gone through the roof because some people have still got their salaries. They've been furloughs, or they're still working. They haven't had a chance to spend any money. Nobody's been traveling, going out to restaurants, doing anything. No hairdressers, no nails, no nothing. So there's a lot of disposable income that's going to become available the moment that all the restrictions are over, or if they are already over in your country, then you may be able to see that already. But on the other side, there's this feeling of uncertainty. So even if people have more money, they may not be willing to part with it for something like photography. They may not be willing to spend a lot of money because you never know, what can happen. So we've saved the money and we have it, but it may be still hard for people to go out and just go, wow, celebrate and things. So that's what I mean. There are emotional differences and technical differences. So it may be a little bit hard to get back to work because some of our clients will have lower budgets. They will have taken a loss over these past few months. And therefore, some of our clients may not be able to be our clients anymore. On the other hand, there's a whole bunch of people who have not only saved money, but some made a lot of money through this pandemic. And so there is, disposable income to go around. But people will not be making decisions in the same way as they did before. And so we have to understand this change. It's really, really important. And I see a lot of coaching out there right now. A lot of people are doing coaching. When I started 5-6 years ago, I think I was one of the first business coaches for photographers to come up and start talking about this side. And now in the past couple of years, especially over the past year, like everybody's teaching, everybody's coaching. And but what I see is also a lot of really let's call it non-up-to-date information about how to run a photography business, because they're still going by the same rules, if you will, that were valid before, and they're still teaching the same systems that were working a few years ago, whatever they did a few years ago. And I mean, this is also something that I see. I mean, I started off doing this because I was in a really bad way in my professional life. I am a portrait photographer, and my business, my personal life took a hit, and I found myself in dire need of making it profitable. And over the course of a year, I had to take it from zero to, a comfortable living for me and my daughter. And so all of the things that I put in place, which, were just out of the fact that I'm the daughter of an entrepreneur, and I probably have some of that DNA in myself because of the way I was brought up. All of those things were purely business-based decisions and systems and strategies that then other photographers were asking me about, and I started telling people. And so my course, Outside the Box, came out of that. We did the first workshop in Italy, Graphic Studio Castle, in 2016. And from then, it's just been growing and growing. But like I said, it's been evolving, because now we have to take into consideration a whole host of other stuff that wasn't really happening in 2016 or even 2018. So there's a lot of marketing advice that is not so relevant anymore. There's a lot of things that we've been doing that are not the most important things anymore. There is a really important an emphasis now on our value, but most of all, and this is where everybody goes a bit, oh, what? Not about the real value of what we do. And when I say that, I mean that our clients don't really know anything about photography. When photographers come to me and say, oh, I don't know if my photography is good enough, that's one of the biggest things. I don't know if I'm good enough to charge. I'm not good know if it's good enough to, to sell. And I always say, well, I look at what they do. Okay. And over the years, I think there's only been like 2 or 3 people where I said, okay, before you do this, go and learn about photography, because you're really not there yet. But most of the times, it's people who have been amateurs for a long time, and they've been working on their photography for a long time. And so what they think is like, I'm not good enough. And I say, your clients do not look at your photos in the same way. They know nothing about photography. They're not going to perceive any difference between your pictures and the photos of someone else. Someone else may be doing the same type of thing as you, and they don't understand the difference just from looking at the photo. They will look at other things. They will look at something like a value that is beyond the actual picture. It's going to be your brand, it's going to be your awards, it's going to be other things that you say or other things that you actually do. Now, the problem is that a ton of photographers say the same things. It's about customers, it's about customer care, it's about quality, it's about the experience and all of these things, which are the intangibles, which are really important, but we're all sort of saying the same thing again. So how can a client decide in a time when things are, unsure and unstable? They're going to choose on price, which is what always happens when somebody is confused and doesn't have enough information. So clients will decide on parameters that are not the same as what we perceive as being real value. And of course, quality is important. It really is important that we do good shoots, that we do good photos. But it's not the most important thing. It's a bit like when you go to a restaurant. Food is important. If food is bad, you're not going to like it. You may even ask for your money back, or you definitely won't go back again, and you won't be speaking well about it. But you don't go back because of the food. You go back again and again and again because of the way they make you feel. It's about the place. It's about the atmosphere. It's about the service, the waitress, whoever is taking care of you. And then, of course, the quality of the food is important, but you may be willing to pay a pretty penny for something that has all of this wonderfulness around the food that you eat. And it's not 5 or 10 pounds more or less, or even 30 or 40 or 100 that are going to make that much of a difference if that is what you want. And in the same way, we have to really be aware of what else we give aside from our photography. I work a lot on branding. And so, when there is no perceived difference, people will choose based on emotions or price. So there's two things. There needs to be an emotional connection, and that makes a difference. That's what branding is all about. Working on your brand is all about. And if you follow me, or if I'll tell you how to get in touch with me, I have a free guide that you can download, and it talks about how to work on your brand, and it's quite useful. So you could get that, because that helps create a good image of yourself, and an emotional connection is really, really important to understand what branding is. But aside from that, people have to see more, and not just your work, to be able to invest in you. So what they perceive as your value needs to be, it's different from what your just reality is, because they don't have a way of gauging what your reality is. Let me say, the quality of your photography needs to be good. I'll say that again. You can't do bad photos and expect to run a profitable, wonderful, successful photography business. It needs to be good, but you are way better than you think you are. That's the first thing. And also, your photography improves every year. So your pictures are not as bad as they were a year ago, and they're not as good as they will be a year from now, because you work on this daily and you just improve daily. So I am not worried about that at all. So what we want to make sure is that photography does not become our photography does not get lumped into like a sort of type of commodity. Like, I will go to whoever is closer to me. I will go to whoever is cheaper than others, because I just need a picture. That is really not what you're after, what you want to work with. I will say, at the end of this talk, we're going to have time for questions. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, and then we can go in depth in some of these things at the end of it. So the technical side of the changes in the market, and this is possibly the most important thing to really pay attention to, is that there are different types of businesses. And up until now, up until a few years, because this is a trend that's been going on for a few years now, and COVID has just accelerated it hugely. There was like the supermarket type businesses, the high volume, low budget, high volume, lots of clients, and very, small, fast sales. And then there was a middle market where the quality is better, the prices are a bit higher, and it's kind of like a mid-range type of thing. And then there's the higher end market. I'm not talking about luxury. I'm not talking about designers or that, but even like, good boutiques who do sell a bit of designer and a bit of this and a bit of that, and have, higher end pricing. Talking about clothes, but it could be higher end restaurants or higher end anything. So higher end photography as well. So what happens is that over the years, and especially in the past year, the middle market is caving in. A lot of the middle market businesses are going out of business because they're not competitive enough to go with against the big shopping center type of businesses, and they're not good enough or high end enough to cater to people who really want a higher quality and are prepared to spend more about it. So what happens is that, for instance, it used to be that supermarket quality, or what I call supermarket quality, the value type thing, used to be like very low quality. But now you can get pretty decent quality on Amazon or on, a lot of shopping mall type places. You don't have to go to, Bond Street to get to get nice clothes, or you can get things for quite a low price. And even the big chains are quite competitive. They have good quality stuff. And if you don't care too much about where you buy your jeans, you probably go to H&M rather than having to spend for 5 times as much to get, I don't know what they do. It's not Levi's. I don't know, some brand names. So the middle range stuff is really being challenged by the lower price, high volume companies. While the higher end businesses, they really don't have a competition. They are very unique. They all do their own thing. And there's plenty of work for that kind of market to live and survive and thrive. Now, what happens is it used to be that people who go to a higher end business were the people with more money. It makes sense. You have a nice car, nice clothes, and then you go to a higher end photographer, higher end restaurant, higher end everything. And if you don't have a lot of money, you go to budget shops and budget restaurants and budget clothes shops and photographers as well. But this is not the case anymore, because now every one of us, you included, really going to both places, depending on what you put value on. So, for instance, some people may care or not care about where they buy their food. Maybe they buy at Lidl, or maybe they buy into the boutique butchers and cheese markets or something, cheese shops that import everything from France and Italy, because they care about special things when they do their food shopping. Restaurants in the same way, and technology or appliances that you buy. Depending on what you care about, you're going to spend. I have a Thermomix. It's a food blender cooker thing, kitchen appliances. It costs over £1,000. To me, totally worth it. I've had one for 30 years. I would not live without it. Some people think, what? It's crazy to spend on a blender. So it really is a difference about what is important to me and what is important to you. And all of us may go and buy our jeans at H&M and then go next door and buy an iPhone. So everybody has, it doesn't matter. The luxury market or the high-end market is no longer the precinct of higher end, high earners, people with lots of money. People of every strata of life, socially, can and will and do buy expensive things and higher end products because they love them. And people, this is one of the mantras in my course, people will find the money for what they want. So put that and remember that people will always find the money for what they want. So if somebody is our client on an emotional level, if they love what we do and we can communicate our value and we can put this in our business, some of my best clients have been people with very, very simple lifestyles, low incomes, shop assistants, secretaries, not people with lots of money, but they loved what I did for them. And they were willing to pay in installments. They were willing to do anything to find and to get photography and their products from me. So this is probably the biggest thing to really keep in mind. Medium businesses are going to be struggling even more than they did before. And lower end means high volume, so loads and loads and loads of clients, but it also assumes that you have a team. You cannot serve so many people and make it profitable by working by yourself. You're going to burn out. So what OTB, outside the box, does, what I propose and what I help people do, is to raise the level of their business to a higher end, a higher value, higher perceived value type of work. So the problem is, it's not the simplest thing to do. You can't just say raise your prices. That's not how it works. You need to have a system, and you need to know how to raise your prices and all of the other aspects of your business. It's a bit like a puzzle. You move one thing, you have to level up all of the other things. So it's something that I'm getting confused with my nose. It's something that you need to learn how to do, because the temptation is to go low. You go like, oh, there's not enough clients, I'm just going to lower my prices and just make special offers, which may work in the very short term, but in the long term, then you're just going to place yourself on the lower end of the market instead of on the higher end of the market. And that's not what you want to do in this day and age. So, things to do is to define your strategies, what to offer, how to price things, how to present the things that you offer, and, how to sell without being pushy, without, doing hard sales that nobody likes to sell. I know that. And there's all sorts of things about pricing and money and self-worth and am I worth this much? And money blocks. There's a lot of mindset work involved in this. So we have about 10 minutes, and I want to, open this to questions. I have tons of stuff to say still more, but I am going to do a live, and there's something else this afternoon about printing, about your secret weapons, if you want to follow that talk. And also I'm going to do a live extra training that's going to be free and that you can take part in next Saturday. So that should be, we'll have more time on that. So I don't know if there's any questions, but Hazel said she'll bring them up. So if she comes on, then I will.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So we've got a few questions. Lizzie says, you say a lot doesn't work in the current market. What is the number one piece of advice you see given which we should avoid?
Well, there's a lot on working out your pricing, for instance, based on your products or based on your hourly, how much you want to make an hour, and which is all very well, because I think those calculations are really important, and they are definitely, you don't want to go below what you want to make an hour. You don't want to go below what is something that is sustainable for your business. So crunching numbers is really important, and most photographers don't do that. Crunching numbers, understanding how to price your products is really, really important. But also remember that I always say, I don't sell paper and ink. I sell images, I sell portraits, I sell stuff that is going to be priceless a few years from now. Sometimes when clients say, oh, this album, I love it. Yeah, okay, how much is it? £1,000, whatever. And they go like, whoa, that's expensive. And I say, I will come to you a year from now and give you this money back if you give me the album back. And they laugh. They know they never will. Their children are going to be in there. It's something totally beyond what, the paper and ink value of that thing. Of course, this album is amazing, and it's highest quality possible, but that's not what we sell. So crunching your numbers is really important, and then remembering also and communicating the value of what you do. I think that's one of there's many, but that's one of the things that most people get stuck on or never even get started on. Anything
but do you find
else?
that people that people give advice that you would naturally kind of say, oh, I'm not sure I would go with that, particularly at this point in our situation, kind of in the UK?
Well, I don't really go and listen to everybody else just to see what they have to say, but I come across people who maybe have come from other courses and from other coaches and then come to me because there's big gaps in what they do. And so the main thing is, like, everybody has been focusing on marketing, for instance, and unfortunately also some types of marketing that are not really that relevant anymore. And I know I'm saying a big thing here, but funnels and SEO and sponsored ads and all of these things, they work less and less and less. You may have seen it, in your sponsored ads or in your reach, and how social media is not responding the same way as it used to be. So there needs to be different ways of doing it. A lot of people focus on marketing and marketing systems and marketing, all of that, which is all good, that it's part of it. But marketing is 1/10 of what we need to focus on. In OTB, out of 8 modules, marketing is the 6th. It's not even in the first 3. Before then, it's our branding, it's our image, it's our connection with clients, how we connect with them. It's our pricing, our offer, the way we present ourselves, the way we communicate. And then marketing is the way we communicate all of that. And how we do that, systems have changed. So yeah, it is a puzzle, and there's many, many pieces to it. And thinking that you can do a marketing course and that's what you need for your business is like, it's like saying, I need to go to an amazing party and I need to look amazing and glamorous and do all my networking there, and you just buy a pair of shoes. Then you throw in your rotten, tattered jeans and a dirty T-shirt or something. It just doesn't. Everything needs to work together. Does that answer the question? I do tend to go off on a tangent on things.
Kobe has said, do you work with videographers? And if so, what challenges do you see them facing? And do you have any advice for somebody who is about to graduate with a film degree?
Okay, right. We've been talking about degrees and university things, and unfortunately, both photography and film degrees, you come out of school having zero instructions about running a business. About videography, I have worked with photographers who also do video and also videographers who only do video. There are, of course, some differences in the way we do things or what we offer, but the principle is the same, exactly the same. What you do is something that you need to, let's say, emotionally attach a value to, because otherwise people are just going to just click on the cheapest videographer they can find. It's only a little video and you can then mount it and put it together. I mean, what's so hard about that? Anybody can do it. Oh, you have a degree? Fine, fantastic. I'm not prepared to spend much money on it, though. It doesn't matter. People don't care about your qualifications, just first off, that they really don't. And if you're good at it, there is more to your work than just your work, right?
Okay, so following on from that, Nadia has said it was difficult to get a job in photography out there before. but now obviously it's worse because of the situation. What would you suggest is the kind of the right place to search for jobs related to photography? Would you chase companies for work, or how might you go about it now?
I have never really dealt with companies who offer photography jobs because that's a whole other thing. That's not about your own business. So this is what I work with, is photographers who start their own business. And it doesn't matter when you do it. Now is a fantastic way to start a business because as we come out of the pandemic, one of the really, really important things that we need to keep in mind is that the value of photography in people's hearts and minds has gone up. People have put a lot less value on designer shoes and hairdressers now that they figured out they can live without them. And they value a lot more, the picture of their kids with their grandparents and all of these things. So photography is going to absolutely boom in the next this year, next year. 2022 for weddings are going through the roof. Some photographers are booked solid already all the way to the end of 2022. So it really is not a bad time to be in business, but you need to know how to be in business. It's not just about photography. To look for jobs as a photographer with a salary like in a company, I have no idea. That's not my thing. I don't know.
So at the moment, do you think it's about getting yourself out there on social media, or what's the best way for a graduate or somebody who's coming into work now to get themselves out there without being able to actually physically really go out and shoot for people?
Well, the best thing is use this time to really learn about business. Last year during the first lockdown, when everybody got, I work a lot with Italy, obviously because I'm Italian, and so during the first lockdown, and they were there for a lot longer than we were, and there was a lot of fear and anguish about things. The photographers who actually took their time and used it to work on their business so they would be ready to go the moment things opened up again are the ones that have not stopped working since. And the ones who sat and waited and said, oh, I don't know, we can't do anything now, then things eased up and they had no clients. There was nothing that they could do about it. And so it's been really hard for people who don't use this time wisely. That's what I'm saying. And, come to that talk I'm doing next Saturday, and we can talk face to face more about this. And also, what that talk is going to be about is really what does it really take to run a profitable photography business? And then there's some like three major stumbling blocks or some major stumbling blocks that really get in the way of people doing it. So whether you're just thinking about starting a business or you're already in business and you want this to go better or raise the level or whichever level you're at, we relish. This is not what we love to do. We love to go out and shoot and edit. Can I do this all day? No, you can't. You just can't. If you want to do that, you do another job. But if you want to be in run your own business, you have to run your own business. I always say, run your business like a business, and it'll pay you like a business. Run it like a hobby, which most people do, and it'll cost you like a hobby. A lot of people are barely making the money to pay for their costs when they are, and that's not right. You should get a decent salary out of it. Create the life you love. That's what we want.
That's great. Thank you very much, Fabrizia. We're just out of time now, but if any other questions have come through, I'm sure you'd be happy to answer them. And we'll come back to people who have asked questions next week. And as Fabrizia has mentioned, she's got her course running on Saturday. We'll put that on the session page as well, and let you guys know about that. Thank you very much, Fabrizia, for all of your time today.
Thank you, and I'll see you later. This afternoon at 3. If you want to join us, we'll talk more about something else.